Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Breakthrough SaaS Growth with the Jasons, with myself, Jason Noble, in a not as warm London as we've had over the last few weeks. We've had about 5 heat waves, but it's a bit milder now. And my partner in crime, Mr. Whitehead. Say hello, Jason.
Hello, Jason.
Today, we're looking at something that I think affects almost every SaaS business and probably a lot of other businesses. They've got a lot of data. And most businesses don't have a data problem. They've got a decision-making problem. And I think that's becoming even more prominent with the rise of AI and agents. And we've spent a long time, 10, 20, 30 years, building dashboards, reports, and increasingly sophisticated ways of measuring our businesses. But having more data doesn't necessarily mean we're making better decisions. AI potentially changes that, but not because it gives us another dashboard, but because it can help us understand what's changing, what matters, and what we should do. And today, to talk to us about this, we've got a very, very special guest, Eddie Irvin, joining us. He's the founder of Nashville AI Advisory, where he works with businesses on AI strategy, automation, and practical implementation. And he's got a phenomenal background. And I think, given some of our recent episodes and kind of the direction we're heading in, this is a really well-timed one. So welcome, Eddie. Great to have you here.
Yeah, great to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, Eddie, let's start with the big provocative question for you. What's wrong with dashboards? And I know you and I spoke about this before, but I'd love to hear from you. What's wrong with them? Because a lot of people rely on them.
Let's just jump right in. So, I mean, if we go back, let's go back 5 or 10 years to have a dashboard that would give a CEO, really good information. You have to code it. You have to have all the streams of data coming in. You've got to know what to do with each data piece. And that takes a lot of time. And so to get to the point of having a dashboard that's robust, that's dynamic, that's up to date, and that's also giving us the information we need, it's a huge effort to be able to get there. And now with AI, we can get there in an afternoon. And you may not even need to, and this hurts me to say, you may not even need to hire a software developer to get it done using Claude Code, using Codex, to be able to bring all that data to your face and have 1,000 different data points aggregated and clear for you as a business owner.
I mean, a lot of businesses have spent years becoming more data driven, and they've put big investments into analytics processes around data. Is the problem that we have too much data, or is it that we don't know what to do with it, or is it a mix of the two?
I would actually go a third way, which is that if the data isn't clean, regardless of how much we have, everything downstream is going to be messed up. And this is something that I see across the board where people want to press the magic AI button and just right, but they don't realize what they're giving it. It's almost like you have a world-class chef coming over to your house to make you a meal, and you say, well, here's a banana and a fork. Yeah. And so as we give the right ingredients, as we can provide the right ingredients, AI can do all what AI does. That also takes some skill to pull it out. But ultimately, we want to make sure that our data is really clean, and we're very specific about what needs to happen with the data. And so this is a lot of talking with the business owner on, tell me what I've got, tell me what you want to see. If you do have that magic button, what are we doing? But then we've got to hook it all up, and we've got to make sure all of it is coming in, regardless of whether it's 1,000 data points in an hour or 2 data points. It still has to be trustable. Otherwise, everything else, who cares if the graph is pretty? We just want it. We want to have the good, solid data to be able to make decisions on it.
I think that when Jason and I, there's a few other guests that we've had on, and a lot of the themes that we've done on our podcast and some of our content is around that very same thing. That the data, businesses are kind of putting AI as another layer on top of everything, but it doesn't help fix anything if that foundation of broken data, inaccurate data, incorrect data, or even underlying broken processes doesn't work. If that's broken, adding this other layer on top really doesn't help. Are you seeing the same in organizations that you're working with?
Yeah, and even there's something that just popped to my mind, this idea of streams kind of coming in, kind of in the same way in nature, how kind of streams come together into bigger waterways. It's the same kind of thing with all of our data, right? We've got our emails, we've got text messages, we've got our Otter transcriptions, we've got, all this data from all over the place. And each of those streams can be broken, can be blocked, can be confused. So, and especially with automation nowadays, I'm fighting this fight right now. As we build more automation, okay, that broke. Okay, that stopped. I've got to restart that. That errored out. We've got to, you've got to be able to accommodate as things are happening. It's a moving and dynamic system. It's not as much as I'd like it to be, a set it and forget it. It's a set it, but then watch and make sure it's still delivering the right thing. It's still working. And that sometimes can be messed up, at which point then the dashboard you've created, which is beautiful and has all the, it's all ready to go, the data's starved on the way in, or the data's mangled on the way in, and we've got to be able to accommodate for that. So again, that's another transparency, clarity issue. We got to make sure it's good.
What I was going to say, I think given the pace of change of tech right now and the availability of data, it's becoming more and more of a problem, isn't it? And probably at a pace that we've not seen before.
Yeah, more and more. So much data we have coming in, and all of that has to be accommodated into, well, what am I supposed to do with this? Sure, we just had an otter call for 60 minutes. What now? Right? We want to turn into action items. We want to draft an email. We want to have a follow-up happen in 3 days. We want to, all those different things take thought and take structure and strategy. And a lot of people nowadays with AI, they treat it like this magic box that's just going to read their mind. AI, will you figure it out? It's like, hold on. You never hire somebody and day one say, welcome, go do it. Do what, boss? What do you want me to do? Give me an example of the report you want. Tell me what, train me, teach me. And AI is essentially this junior employee. Can it decide for you? Sure. Would you hire an employee and say, well, no, you decide? No. Do things the way I want them done. Come do it my way, right? And that's what we're trying to do with AI, to become a partner with AI.
I think a lot of people also forget that very point. Like, I remember years ago when I was bringing in originally an intern, then he stayed on to work for me. Really the situational leadership. Like the first time he did something, I had to really guide him, coach him, teach him step by step. Second or third time, we could talk about the process to make sure I understood it. Third or fourth time, here's your goal and your objective. Let me know if you need help. And by the end, it's just like, you take care of it.
Right.
And I think, a lot of the same concepts apply to AI, and the people aren't quite realizing that, it does need that kind of management and oversight the same way a junior employee would, or even a senior employee. You can't just rely on it. What are you finding in terms of the expectations that senior leaders have in organizations that are saying, we need to go to AI, we want to try this? Are they thinking along those lines, or are they having an assumption that it's just going to happen, it's going to be magic?
That's a great question.
It's not really Harry Potter.
Yeah, 100%. And it really, where it really changes is how much that CEO has spent time with AI themselves, right? If they are really well versed with AI, they know how they've had to take multiple iterations to be able to get the right result. They know how to talk to it in a certain way. Now, they're also good as a leader. They're good at delegating and hiring out to other people. So they have that skill set of, hey, no, do it this way. Hey, here's what I need. And that same skill set is essentially what we need AI to do. But somewhere along the way, people somehow decided or thought, maybe they saw too many social media videos where somebody said, hey, in 2 minutes, you can have a fully functioning employee that does everything you need, and they get this idea of, oh, it'll just do all the training for me. I can just turn it on and it'll go. And so that's a little bit of the quirk that I find with people who are higher up in a business. If they don't have the skill set with AI, if they don't have the kind of the understanding about what's going on, they can kind of fall into that trap of, oh, AI is magic, and miss the whole training component.
I think that the key thing there is that you see, particularly from leaders, and everyone's seeing AI now, you're exposed to it at home. Our kids use it. We were talking earlier on about our kids. I think that's becoming more and more, and it's fascinating to see that use. But it's very still early stage tech, but everybody's using it. So how do you get businesses to not start with AI, but start with what's the problem we're trying to fix, or even what's the decision we're starting to improve and find out? So how have you seen conversations go with leaders and businesses, the organizations you're dealing with, that you help them change the kind of dynamics of that conversation so they don't come in and just say, right, AI will fix this?
Yeah. Ultimately, it's the idea of having a really deep, nice conversation where they either may or may not be starting with, hey, give me an agent right now, go. We go, understood, sure. What's the first thing it should do? Pretend you have a magic button and it can only do one thing. What do you want it to do? And then we get into the conversation of, oh, well, my email is this, or, oh man, but I need this report, or, oh man, this thing is really blocked. And we start talking about then where it actually impacts them, agnostic to the tech, but like what the actual problem is. So regardless of whether they're starting with, give me AI, give me the magical AI, or, hey, listen, I'm kind of struggling with this thing. Can we use AI to solve that? Again, everybody's coming from a different place. Typically, I'm helping people who are non-technical, right? Because somebody who is really, really well versed with AI will be able to get really, really far down the road until they need to, build software or, not get past vibe coding. But the idea of being able to sit with them and just understand, I find that a lot of my skill set is just trying to understand what's in their mind and really what's going on as they're saying and explaining their problem to me. I'm building a mental model of what's actually going on, asking them more questions to pull it out. And then as soon as I've got it, then I can take care of, okay, we need an agent for this. We need a workflow for this. In a lot of cases, we don't even need AI. They say, well, I need AI. And it's like they need this file to be transferred over here. We don't even want AI to do that. It's just a waste of tokens. Just connect the software. So it's a lot of, kind of holding at bay, choosing the solution, and more just trying to pull out what's actually going on. Tell me what's happening. And then once we actually get into the building part, it's, hey, here's something that I think is kind of directly impacting to solve that. Let's have a deeper conversation. And that's one thing I'd love to talk about if you'd like to get into it, this idea of revisioning. It's not, hey, let's have one long conversation. Hey, here's 100% and we're finished. It's, hey, let's have a long conversation. Here's 20%. Is it heading the right direction? Am I getting it? And then that starts to sprout more ideas in their head for, oh, I forgot to tell you there was another report that I need connected to this, or, oh, I forgot to tell you there's another data point that we forgot to connect. And then that helps us actually build the right thing.
Do you think that, if you look at traditional, if there is such a word, software development, when we've looked at agile and iterative development, it's similar, isn't it? I mean, it's the same. I don't want the answer straight away, but let me refine that and improve that. And I loved your point then about, there is this, we just want AI. Well, it might not be AI. Maybe we can just do it with some simple workflows and integration.
Right.
But it's something that's happening so fast. It's in the news every day. People are just defaulting to this. I need AI. We've said before, it's that next evolution in tech. And we've all in our careers seen some incredible ones. This is a big one, but it's that next evolution.
Yeah.
And it's how do you make sure people they're not trying to fix the problem with something that actually doesn't fix it. Maybe you just need a spreadsheet.
Right. Well, that's exactly it. It's sometimes a solution. Sometimes it's actually best to not have AI, and that kind of brings me to say, right? I embrace AI. I'm equally excited and also scared about it. But I love AI. I love what AI can do. But when I'm building my own solutions, I don't necessarily want AI to touch everything, because when AI touches something, it can think for itself. So sometimes it will think the wrong thing versus software. You set it and it just works. And so I love that, when I'm building solutions now, I'm trying to take as much of the decisioning and put it on software. And then when it needs to think, when it needs to decide, when it needs to route, when it needs to do something where building the software is going to be disadvantageous or really difficult, okay, we throw it at AI and then we get it right back into the software to then take it from there. Right. So this idea of, people are more CEOs than ever are coming to the table with, well, I need AI. But then that's our job as AI strategists, AI advisors to go, you actually only need AI for 20% of it, but let's talk about that 80% and get that solved for you so you can feel the lift that you're looking for.
What's been the biggest misconception that you think people have when they first come to you, that like, oh, we assume if we do this and AI will do it, it'll just be magic and be wonderful, or we assume it will happen so quickly, or that the data will be great, or our people will work effectively with AI, or whatever it's going to be? And where do you start to have that warning bell go off in your head, say, we've got to have a different conversation before this moves forward?
Yeah, I love that. The thing that's popping to the top of my mind right now is all these social media videos that are talking about a second brain. Set up a second brain on your computer. You have all your data coming in. You've got, you press the magic button, you've got all the data you need. That works and that's helpful, but it's not helpful if you need it to be a system in the cloud. It's not helpful if you need to be able to access it from different places, or you need it to be able to connect to other things. Now, certainly we can build systems that are local, that are a second brain that then connect outside, but that takes a lot more architecture and structure to do. And so as people are hearing about, OpenClaw and Hermes agent and these other things, they hop in thinking, well, this thing is going to be awesome. Then I did the same, right? I'm thinking, well, let me play with this tech. Let's go. I have my own AI agent. And where it really hit me was I set something up in the morning. I wanted 3 news articles delivered to me in the morning that are all about AI. So I could, fashion with social media. And so what I said was, listen, okay, I'm done with that. Turn that off, right? Simple, just turn off the cron, turn off the task. And then the next day, hey, so sorry, I couldn't find those 3 articles. Something went wrong. No. I don't want the 3 articles. Turn it off, right? A week passes. Hey, I'm so sorry. I couldn't get those 3 articles. Something went wrong on the back. No, stop. Don't give me the articles. I don't want the articles. And this happened about 6 or 7 times, at which I'm realizing if this is software, it's a simple switch. Turn off the cron, it listens. With the agent, something was misconfigured so that something as simple as a news brief in the morning, I couldn't just say, no, stop. And that's really where it hit me. I don't necessarily want to use an AI agent for everything. This is not going to be helpful to me. As a software developer, I'm very used to, I fixed it and now it's fixed. I fixed it and it's broken. It's very, very frustrating. So that is a big part.
I'm curious because listening to you, one of the things that popped into my head is AI is blurring the lines between what is software versus where does it behave more like a human, and how do you approach them differently? So software, you program the logic, this and that. The human, maybe you fire them, maybe you train them, maybe you put them on a performance improvement plan. When you're trying to think through AI or trying to explain it to others, where do you try to draw the line between here's where it's more like software and here where it's more like human and you have to treat it as such and give it more oversight and behavior and say it may not be the right fit? And have you had to fire an AI agent?
That's great. Yeah. So the idea of having AI do everything, right? AI agent, go and check my mail for me, kind of put this together, give me a report. Though for those kinds of things where we're looking at a huge amount of data in aggregate, we want to just get it done and it's kind of quick and dirty, do all this work in one shot. Like that's really, really helpful for AI. But if we set up business systems that need to run the same way every single time, if it's a financial decision or something that's something that we can turn into software, we should turn into software. And this idea of having AI, for instance, if we're trying to connect to an API, like the back end of a software and have some kind of automatic connection to a software, we can set that up with an AI agent and say, listen, every day, I want you to go do this and give me a result. It's got to write its own code every single day. How should I connect? Oh, this is the way I should connect. What should I send? Oh, this is what I should send. It's got to do that work again and again and again, versus if you use the AI to write software that goes and pulls things down, you use AI once, and then the software just happens again and again and again. So for me, when I'm trying to save tokens, I don't want to recreate the software every day with AI. I want to build it once, and then I want it to just work. So it's analyzing those kinds of decisions. Either if software can do it, let's just have software do it, until the point that building the software is really going to be a chore. And at that point, we're always following the 80-20 rule around the business. Let's look for all the low-hanging fruit we possibly can. We do 20% of the job and we get 80% of the result, instead of taking something all the way to 100% automated. We'll try to find those little bits that can kind of transform the business a lot easier. And that saves a lot of time. It's very efficient to do.
How do you, following on from what Jason was saying, but also going back to kind of what the theme here is, you've got the data, the dashboards, but AI today isn't necessarily helping with the decisions. But as we start moving that direction, there's a real risk that we outsource ultimately what something today makes us really human, is judgment.
Yeah.
So and that might not improve it, that might make things worse, but how do you manage that risk, and what's your view of that risk that ultimately, if we do outsource decisions, what can happen?
Yeah. There's 2 things here. So one is, I love when AI gives me kind of a rainbow of options. I want it to be able to present to me, pick one of these cards. What do you think? And then I'm able to scan through and see from lots of different points of view. That is a really helpful way of using AI, as opposed to AI saying, this is it. Right now, I've got to ask for proof. I've got to double check. If it can give me an array, then I can do some choosing. And so that's really helpful. And another thing that I want to say is having really solid auditing systems, right? We don't want to just set it up and then just trust the AI. That's a surefire way to get messed up with AI. AI is fantastic at making things up that sound believable. It's so good at it. I remember
even more so than humans.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's prolific. And so I saw this story where a lawyer, used AI and it referenced all these cases to be able to make the argument. They were all made up cases. They should have checked their work, of course. But this idea of having really solid auditing systems, it's a bit like, I mean, I don't know what the visual is. I guess I'm thinking a spinning plate. You come back to it. Is it still spinning? Oh, it's a little wobbly. Let me make sure it's going. Let me go a little farther away. I'll come back. I'll double check it. Oh, it's still spinning. Let me go a little farther away. And so we kind of do this exponential back off at the beginning of setting up some of these systems. We watch it like a hawk. We double check manually. We spot audit. And then as we start going, ooh, spot on, we can back away a little bit, start working on some other stuff. Don't forget about it. And we come back again, a little bit like a junior employee. If you've got a junior employee first day, you're checking in. Hey, how's it? I know I just assigned that to you. Tell me where you're at. Tell me what your thought process is. Are they on track or are they off? And AI is no different. Now, the part of the difficulty here is AI could be on track 9 times out of 10. And then that 1 time out of 10, it breaks. And so if we have some auditing systems underneath it, either having multiple different systems checking it, have Claude check the work, have ChatGPT check the work. Do they both align? Okay, a double thumbs up, let's move forward. Having systems like that, and especially where it's more mission critical and we need to really, really trust what's going on, typically what I'll do is I'll just expose the thinking, right? Don't just give me the pat answer and just say check. Give me the whole thought process and I can scan and really see how it's thinking to be able to make sure it's on track.
I think the interesting thing, when I attended there's a conference last week about AI governance, and there's a whole new industry, if you want, there. And I'm sure you see this a lot, but that's exactly what you've just talked about. That audit, that process, that governance is really important, because I think the other thing that suddenly comes up is accountability. If you build these processes, systems, software, and AI is making the decisions, the accountability isn't with AI. That has to be with the leadership that have gone through that right process, but they've got that audit. We can show what we've done and why we've made their decisions. But you can't delegate that accountability to AI. That accountability still has to sit with us as humans, which is why that audit is even more critical. Because if something goes wrong, and you need to stand up in court or something, you've got evidence that says this is what we did, this is why it happened.
Yeah, and that brings up something I want to add. This idea of there's kind of 2 ways to see AI, and I think a lot of people again see it as this magic genie that's just going to do the thing. I don't consider AI that way. I consider AI as the aggregator. I can bring lots of things to the table. I can bring you these different cards, and you can take a look at it. I want to still do what I do. I want to make the decision. Everything else that's annoying, all the research, all the bringing to the table, and now let me do what I do. So for me to then make a decision that takes 10 or 30 seconds, scanning through, skimming, ooh, I like that one, I'm still choosing, right? I'm still doing the work that I need to do, but AI is doing all of this. I call it digital toil. It's all this annoying aggregating, pulling everything together, rinsing it, whatever needs to happen. So we don't want to give those decisions away. And the more mission critical those decisions are, we should not be giving those decisions to AI. We should have AI bring possible decisions to us as if we're in a boardroom. Hey, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? And all of a sudden now, as the leader, I can choose, ooh, I like that, but give me a little bit of that. And that was a good idea too, but we're going to avoid that. And now I've created this custom analysis on top of it. Whereas if I had to do all that work myself, bring it all to the table and then decide, takes way too much time. So let's treat AI as a thinking partner, not as the new gate opener. We should be the gate openers.
Yeah. I mean, years ago when I was an undergrad, I remember they were talking in the terms, using the language of decision support systems was all.
Yes.
But it was meant to support you. You were meant to do all the deciding. But I do wonder now, it seems like a lot of companies have the expectation that we can train up AI to independently make a lot of the decisions and just remove that human element. Yeah. And I'm not sure they've quite gotten the balance yet of, no, this is where you still need it. And the other side, I'm curious to see your thoughts on how in the short term and long term it plays out. Because right now, a lot of organizations have the more senior experienced people who can make those decisions very quickly and who can understand the nuances and take the 5 cards and say that in 30 seconds. fast forward 10 years and those people have retired or moved on, and you've got a bunch of junior employees who've never really done that detailed work and never been bit in the ass. I mean, because you learn from your mistakes.
Yeah.
Or hopefully you do. And so I'm curious how this plays out in 10 years. If you still have all these 5 cards, but now suddenly the new humans that are supposed to make those decisions, they don't have the grounding. And will they make new mistakes, or will they not know what questions?
Right.
So what are your thoughts about how it's going to play out?
Yeah. That's a huge problem coming for us. But at the same time, we've always adapted, right? There's things that I don't know how to do, that I don't need to know how to do because there's new tech, or because that system was solved. We've got washing machines. I don't need to know how to wash my clothes by hand. It's a silly example, but you get the point. So as we now move
skill.
What's that?
Still an important skill. What if you want to breaks down? You never know.
You never know. Yeah. So as my kids are growing up and they're growing with AI, I've got to be able to train them and teach them on, listen, we've got to be able to think separately. This is a calculator coming to us. We use it. It's a tool for us. It's not like I'm going to turn on AI and I'm going to go on vacation. And I worry about this, right? What's happening to my brain as I'm working with AI? But what I'm finding is, especially with software, I'm not spending time with all the syntax and the quotation mark and the this and that. I'm just thinking about, how do I want this system to work? What's wrong with it? I'm playing one level up. Instead of being the developer, I'm the visionary. And so I'm still really using my brain, but I'm using a different part of my brain, right? If you cut off AI for me right now and I've got to go back to writing code by hand, okay, I'm a little sluggish there because I don't need to have that skill anymore. Certainly I have to scan the code and understand it, but each and every dot and dash and this and that is not something I need to manage anymore. I need to start thinking holistically about it. So with AI, we're all kind of stepping up a level, that the person who used to have to do all this rudimentary work can now take one step up, but we're still using our brains. It's just a different tweak of it. It's a different kind of thing. But 100% as we age and people are coming into having grown up with AI, what does that do? How is their decision making going to be different? I don't have a good answer for that. You're making me think now about what's going to happen with my kids when they get to be that age. How will they be different than me, having gone through and having to really sort out all these things without AI?
It is fascinating to think through like the core skill sets they're going to need. Because I remember years ago, I used to have tons of phone numbers memorized. Now, my wife and I have been together for over 13 years. Half the time I still forget her phone number because it's programmed in my phone. Once from growing up, I've got them. Or reading a map. I used to have maps in the car, and now everyone has a GPS, which is great until the GPS breaks. So it is kind of interesting. What is that core skill set that people need to have first and have mastered before they can reliably guide AI in their organization and their personal lives? I think it's going to really shift things. It's going to be hard to find that line of, this is, like reading, writing, arithmetic. These are the basics that you need to understand to command the other stuff, because I think it's very easy to become dumb.
I wonder, do those basics shift with generations? Though you look at for us, we've grown up with the internet. We were kind of the founding generation of tech, which was a really cool place to be. But our kids now, always on, any content I want, whenever I want it, they're used to that. It's a different way of thinking. But our parents, massively different. And it's a fascinating shift in the generations. And I wonder, for our kids, is there such a thing as AI native? Are they going to be, it just works? But then that introduces a whole series of other potential consequences. What you said, Eddie, about changing what we're thinking about. Do humans need people that think of all these different levels, or are we doing away with the people that used to think at this level and we don't need them anymore? Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.
Yeah. It's bringing up a really, really good conversation. There's a benefit and a disadvantage to it, right? This idea of these young kids who are using AI, they will be learning natively the skill of communicating with AI and getting a good result out of AI. When there's a 60-year-old that is really struggling to talk to AI, they can't harness that new tech. So the 60-year-old has some skills that youngster doesn't have, but the youngster is able to go 100 times as fast because they're using AI. Now, what happens if we have a day where the tech stops working, or ChatGPT, everything's down? I'm always thinking that yes, tech is going to break, but ultimately they will be making decisions in business using AI surrounding them. And if we consider the breakneck pace with everything that's going faster now, the quote that sticks with me is, "This is the fastest it's ever been, and it's also the slowest it will ever be." And that is insane. Oh my gosh.
I
love that. That's so true.
Oh my gosh, it's absolutely insane.
That statement is so true, and it's really it's scary to think about it.
Yeah.
That it is. You go back 3 years when things like ChatGPT started out, and you look at, I mean, now it changes on a weekly basis.
Oh yeah.
But it's the beginning, and it's still slow changes when this is everywhere.
Yeah, this is the Nintendo, right? We're playing with the Nintendo. It's like, wait, what are you talking? This is the craziest tech I've ever seen in my life. No, this is the Nintendo. So what's the PS5? What's going to happen when we've got? It's not just humans creating software; it's humans using AI creating software, and then it's AI creating software by itself.
Right.
And that, and then we add quantum computing, and what happens too when quantum computing and AI is like, oh, back in the day when like, wait, what? Like, what's the next thing going to be? We've gotten to see the internet, blockchain, social media, and then now AI and quantum computing, but there's going to be another one. What is happening? And so yes, we're as we are all kind of imagining fast forwarding 10 years, we can't go 10 years back. We've got to go like 30 years back to see that same breakneck pace that we're going to see in the next 10 years, and it's always compressing.
Yeah, it is wild to think about, and I think it's going to be a huge challenge for organizations, for individuals to really master it right now. And I think we're at the very early days of people trying to figure it the hell out, and there's going to be a lot of mistakes. I mean, we're already seeing a lot of mistakes in those pieces.
Yeah.
Hey, Eddie, this has been a fabulous conversation, and I am sure we will get you back on, because this is a developing industry, and the conversations you're having, I think, are phenomenal. We always like to give our guests what we call a breakthrough challenge question. So completely unscripted, unplanned. But the one for you is, what's the biggest mistake that you think leaders will make as AI starts to become more embedded in their decision making?
Ooh. First thing that pops to my mind is trusting it too much. The magic box is going to tell me, and there it is. I think that we've got to treat AI as a system that can give us possible ways forward and help us see lots of different angles, instead of using it for just tell me the answer. Just give me the answer. Yeah. It's pulling from all of its different data sets. It's sucking up the entire internet. And think about a consultant that completely disagrees with another business consultant. So if AI just grabs one, okay, is that the right one? I'm not sure. If AI can grab 4 or 5, and now we can kind of triangulate around the problem. Well, this business coach would say do this, but this other business coach would say do that, and presents to us almost like a menu. Ooh, here's the different directions I could go. We keep our humanity, we keep our own decisioning while having AI bring that to the table. So I think the biggest mistake people might make is, and it's already happening, is just trusting it too much because they don't understand how it works. And that can lead to disaster because it's not always going to be right. And we want to be able to keep as much autonomy as we possibly can.
I love that. I think, many of the AI models I've seen, they're both gifted liars and people pleasers, which is a dangerous combination. Yes. And as the leader, you're
fantastic idea. You're a genius. Oh my gosh. You're like,
oh yeah. Total flattery.
I thought it was being honest with me for a bit. I'm quite happy with this AI that I'm using.
No, you believe it, Jason, when it tells you how smart you are.
Eddie, this has been a great conversation. A big thank you for joining us. Before we go, can you tell our listeners how they might get hold of you, how they can reach out to you if they want more discussions with you?
Yeah, shameless plug.
Awesome. Wonderful. So yeah, I'm Eddie Irvin again. I run Nashville AI Advisory, NashvilleAIadvisory.com, or on Instagram at Nashville AI Advisory. I'd love to chat with you about your business and see if I can help.
Fantastic. And we'll put links in the show notes below.
Awesome stuff.
Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Eddie.
So much.